This is the Exhibit A, the plaintiff's advertisement, that you were looking for a sitter for your 9-month-old and your 5-year-old.
Yes.
Did you communicate with her at all before she ultimately was hired?
No.
Okay, it was all done through your cousin?
Correct.
Okay, so then you're the only one here who had those communications.
And that's not true at all. She was there at the interview.
Okay.
She was there at the interview. I was there with her. When I met the kids, she was there. And she
Is that
was,
true?
She was
Were you there?
asked, she was asked to participate.
Hold on one second.
I'd like to clarify, I was upstairs just because I do get anxiety being around other people, so I wasn't the person doing the interview. It was my brother, or my cousin, technically.
Okay, so you were in the home, you said?
Yes,
okay.
I was.
Let me ask you this.
That's not true at all.
Did you discuss the payment terms directly with her?
No,
or
she had her cousin do everything because their excuse is she's a young mom and she was inexperienced, and so she wanted her cousin to do everything.
Great, so only
and
one
at the interview, I also told them about my disability.
Okay, hold on. Only one of the two of you was involved in the communications about payment at the beginning, correct?
So at the interview, we were discussing what they had listed on the ad was between 10 and 15. They asked me on the phone before I even interviewed what I wanted, and I originally said I wanted 18.
Okay.
However, they said they couldn't afford that.
18 an hour,
yes.
right?
However, they said they couldn't afford that, so I said, okay. They asked if I would be willing to do 12. I said yes. Then when we got to the interview, we discussed it also, and we stuck with 12 there, and then later on, whenever it came time for payment, that's when they tried to change it.
I just like to clarify that she would have never been hired on even if she wanted $12 because I still couldn't afford that.
Okay, but you have no testimony to offer us here today about whether she was told $12 an hour or not. And in fact, if you know you're not willing to pay $15 an hour, why do you put 10 to 15?
My brother clarified that on the phone with her.
Yeah, but that's pretty misleading, right? If you're wasting someone's time to call you up and you know you're not paying more than $10 an hour, why would you have people call you saying I might pay up to 15? All right. Did you have any problems with her actual work with your children?
No.
Forget about the later payments. No. She was good with your children.
Yes.
Why wasn't she paid?
I told her my situation, that she could only be paid $100 a day every 2 weeks. She said that was fine. And then when it came down to her having to watch my children that day, she went and said that she had to watch another family, which in person we did agree about, that she was going to be the full-time person, then I would pay her on a certain date. And then when it came that date, like I said, she said no. So then I had to pay another person out of pocket because I was only getting paid so little still, because I still had other bills.
Okay.
Which I clarified to her, which my other bills were trying to get another lawyer for my son because I didn't want to lose custody. And she said she understood that. And then I was going to pay her again. And then at the same time, I was still paying another babysitter. And then on top of that, a new babysitter.
Okay, but she did work.
Yes.
And you didn't want to pay her even for the time that she had worked?
No, I clarified in those messages to her that I have right here in front of me, I was going to pay her because I had only got, I want to say, $300. So
then why are we here if you were going to pay her?
Because that's what I told her in the messages, that I was going to pay her one day, even if it was $150, just for that little amount of check that I still had. It had to go to a different babysitter, just so someone could watch my children that day.
You had to hire someone else to come, and you chose to pay them instead of pay her for the work already performed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why wasn't she paid eventually, the next week? Why didn't you pay her 2 weeks later?
Because I'm still paying another babysitter on top of that.
But you would have had to pay her if she was still working for you.
Yeah, and
so
she
how were
would
you
have
going to
been
make
paid.
up?
She would have been paid if I wasn't having to pay for a new babysitter.
Okay, but that makes no sense, okay? Because she worked for this period of time, okay? Now you're saying, well, I can't pay her for what she already did because I have to pay someone moving forward.
Correct.
And you say, well, if she had just stayed on, I would have paid her. But that means that you have the money to have paid her for the work before. Either you do or you don't.
I do, but then she said if I didn't pay her by this certain day, she was still going to take it to a small court. So why was I going to pay her if she was already going to take it to court?
Okay. So I want to go, before I pass this off, one of the things that you claimed is that you eventually found out that she had a disability, and you never would have hired her in the first place had you found that out.
No.
Because you're concerned about the disability's potential impact on your children.
It's not even that. Before I had moved to Fresno County, or whatever you guys like to call it, I lived in Kern County, and they were paying for my child care there. They're through Community Connections, and that's why I asked her if she was able to work through Community Connections so I wouldn't have to pay, because it was already hard for me paying on top of all my bills, which she said if it would have messed with her SSI benefits. And I told her I would let my caseworker know.
Okay.
And then I got back to her 2 days later, and they said it would mess with her benefits because she has epilepsy seizures, so she's not supposed to be watching children.